Hello, good morning on day 69 of our 99 days. I want to talk about today about our healing our wounds and why it's so important to actively heal them or work with it. And our wounds obviously is the same as our pains we endured during our life and still stuck within us somehow. And the expression goes that time heals all wounds or something like that. It's actually not true at all. If you don't do anything and you think that time will pass by and the wound will get healed, then you are mistaken because it actually doesn't, because it keeps coming up. And how you deal with it is actually what is the healing part. And if you don't do anything with it, research has shown now that it actually creates addictive loop patterns of pain in your brain. And so you actually kind of get addicted to the fact that you can still relive the wound you have once experienced. And you can see that even happening when people keep lingering in the past and only talk about the bad things and the ugly things they endured in their life. And they just actually keep repeating the story and again. And then obviously they get into this victim state. And so that what science says is that actually you create this loop of pain again and again. And you actually feel happy about that. So it actually is shown up in your brain reward center, where you actually love that feeling of pain again, which sounds really weird actually, but I kind of like to be in the victim role. It's the same kind of feeling of it's good to be here, because then we can hold on to the drama and repeat our story, and we don't really have to face what's underneath that story. So just let time pass by and think that our wounds will heal is not the way to go about it. And there are actually two things needed to heal your wounds. One and foremost is compassion and care to that wound within you. So that little self within you that feels hurt, or the little child that feels hurt, even if it only happened a couple of years ago, it's this inner child that's hurt there. So it really needs unconditional compassion, without any judgment, without any story attached to it. Just really see how the actual wound is, and heal that with compassion. And that's what we have been practicing with opening the heart space, because that's where the compassion is rooted and is based. And then that energy, which is actually the same as the wound, can be released. But sometimes it's also needed to just visualize actually that you are taking care of your inner child to heal that wound. But even that is often not enough to heal your wounds, because it's so difficult to heal yourself on this pure level of non-judgmental, unconditional love. Because our mind is so strong, and we keep getting the story or the feeling of, but it overcome me, I was a victim. And you might have been a victim in that situation. So therefore it is so difficult to really let go of that side of yourself, coming from the mind with its narrative, and at the same time be fully unconditional, compassionate towards yourself. So what I noticed, what really helped, is changing your perspective on things. And you can't always find a new perspective on things, because sometimes the thing that has happened is just simply too painful, or too much injustice is done, and you were literally the innocent child who has been harmed. And then a new perspective to that situation is not easy or almost impossible. I mean, you need to really step to the bigger understanding of things to really see a different perspective to that situation. Because who can see a different perspective to the fact that a child is harmed innocently, or an innocent child is harmed? But in that case, it does help if you change your perspective to, what does it bring me today? Is it still something that is true today? Is it still happening today? Or is it something that happened in the past? And what can I do with it? How can I change my view towards that pain? Do I really want to heal it? And you need a full yes there in order to, that's already a different perspective, to say a full yes, I want to heal this, and I want to see how I can see that experience. I can see that differently in the fact that how it has influenced my life, and can I see what I have learned from it, or what can I learn from it? And that's often a very difficult dialogue with yourself, because it's then again very difficult not to fall into the feeling of the victim again. But often the pains we have endured become also our greatest gifts. So it has somehow made you strong. It has somehow showed you something within you that you've developed so strongly, that you can now see as, well, that's actually a gift I have, I can share with others. And so what you see is most of the time when people have had severe traumas, once they are willing to open up to those traumas and see how it can also empower them to really want to change it, they become extremely powerful human beings, because they know that, well, I've lived through that pain, so I can conquer the world. I can do anything I like. If I can endure that pain, then anything is possible. So it really can give a lot of power. If we talk about smaller wounds, if we can put any hierarchy to it, but the ones that are more in the area of emotional wounding, like someone has said something to you which is mean, or you have been bullied for a long time, or you have had bad emotional relationship with an ex-partner who has put you down all the time, or who has hurt you in another way but not physically, then it really might help to put another perspective to what actually has happened, and especially with the smaller ones, when something just had said something to you. Like I had my experience when I was young, that the teacher had said something to me that has created a lot of insecurity within me. Now, if I look back at what he said to me, it was probably meant so innocently from his side. And I translated it big time, because if I felt uncomfortable and ashamed towards my friends in the class. And it created a huge amount of insecurity about my abilities to learn things, or to learn things, actually, literally the cognitive learning at school. So, but changing my perspective on what he said and how he probably has meant it already released a lot of my pain there. So even when something nowadays says something mean to you, or something that really feels hurtful to you, then, as we have known from triggers, it's only hurtful because it hurts your pain within you. It's not so much what is said, but the fact that it hurts you is actually what's shown there. And then you always have to question, okay, this has hurt me. Okay, you revealed my pain. You've pressed the button, the pain button, and now what can I do with it? What does it show me? How can I learn? How can I grow from it? And that's also healing the wound immediately. So not like take time over and recreate the same kind of experience again and again, because then we believe it will always happen. Some people always say, I'm not good at that, or put me down in a certain way, because if you believe the first sentence about that, you will believe the second and the third and the fourth as well, if you don't heal the pain that's underneath it. So changing this perspective is really like looking at the situation from this third person again, like I shared in these other 2 days. And then look at that same situation with different eyes. How can I make a different interpretation of that? Or has there been an innocent meaning to it? Or was it just a little misplaced joke or whatever? So that's one side, to look differently at this situation. And the other thing is, when the wounds are deeper and bigger and keep coming back, then there's only one way out there, is to see what life shows you there and how you can grow from it. And that's a different perspective on that same wound. So what do you need in order to change that wound around, that experience, that pain, into something which is positive for you, which is useful for you? And that is literally healing the wound. That's not just bypassing the experience, it's literally just reframing actually the experience into something which is useful to you now. Because I definitely believe that we experience in life to learn things. Otherwise, life will be like one flat line, actually. And as I explained in the way that we live in polarity here on this earth, we have to experience good and bad things in this duality way, like I explained yesterday. Otherwise, we will never grow as human beings. We will never learn, and we will just be, we can even be a flatliner on a very high frequency, like a Buddha, and be fully enlightened. But for most of us, that's not our path. Most of us go through ups and downs in life. And it's our challenge actually to become more resilient, more flexible, more resilient to what's happening. And in my experience, opening up all these wounds actually creates a process where life is actually giving you little nuts, actually, like, okay, you now really have to work on this wound because it keeps coming up, or I show it for you that it will come up again, because now it's time for you to heal that wound. So you might experience now events that you cannot really explain why that would happen to you now, because you are doing all the good work, and you're growing, and you're doing your practices here in the 99 days, and you're so disciplined, and then something bad happens to you now, or something unexpected happens. And that happened to me as well, like over the past years, that I could not imagine that things like that would happen right now after I've done so much great work. But as soon as I became resilient with that information, and I could see immediately, like, okay, this is interesting. Life is just challenging me here, like giving this little push again, like, okay, have you really dealt with this pain inside you, or does it still need some extra work? Does it still need some extra healing? So take these little invitations from life as a gift, as a little present to see that actually now is the time to really heal that wound, and the confirmation also to see if the wound is healed, and feel within if the wound is healed. Because sometimes the wound is healed and the energy is actually gone, and then we're actually recreating again, because we don't see that the new event in life that's happening today or tomorrow, or in this period of transformation, then we kind of miss the message there, and we fall back into old patterns. Like, okay, you see, it really doesn't work. This whole journey of opening up doesn't really work. I'm falling back into life is still treating me bad, and I'm I still experience the same negative things. But that's just a challenge. That's just a challenge and an invitation from life to deepen again, to see if you really have touched upon all sides of it. So this change in perspective is really to to really take your wounded self out of the situation and look at it like you would look at another person who would tell you this event. And then what would you say to that person if that happened to someone else? How would you react, and how would you look at it? And can you then help that person to see it differently? Sometimes it just helps to imagine that someone else is telling your experience like he or she has experienced it. And then, okay, I can look at that conversation, that sharing, and then this will be my reaction, this will be my advice, or this will be my, or even I could hold space then for the other person. And then obviously you hold space for that identified self within you, that hurt child within you. So it really is about this narrow-minded vision of the wound. And if the wound is not clear to you, but you feel stuck, you feel like there is something physically in your body that feels like blocked, then sometimes you just have to sit with it and let it be, and just go into the caring mode and compassionate mode around that blocked pain. Then you can't change your perspective on it yet, because it's not time yet to approach it from that side. Then really the care and the compassion is there to hold space for yourself and to open up your heart and to just literally heal the energy. Ultimately, it's just energy. So ultimately, just compassionate, unconditional love is actually the only thing you need. But we all know by now how strong this mind is. So it creates stories and it creates events. And because thought creates reality. So as long as his mind is strong in his thought patterns, it's really difficult to just only use this release in energy. So it works for me to actually work with both things and change the perspective and do the caring and compassionate work there. So, and for you, it's really now the time to see how things show up in life, how you can see the mirror effect actually of life, and what is there to learn, what does it show you, how useful is it to linger in that past experience, how useful is it today. If you have a clear answer like it's very useful today, then apparently there it's no time to heal it yet. But I cannot imagine of one wound, even if you lost a dear person, then I cannot imagine that wound still serves you today in a very positive way. Or I cannot imagine that wound empowers you. So yeah, so wounds just show up big time now, especially when you're opening your heart space. Don't see this as a fallback into old patterns. See it as an invitation. See it as a progress in your growth, a progress in your rise in awareness. Because otherwise you wouldn't have picked it up. Otherwise you wouldn't have felt the pain. Because I think there was, and there has been for many years, a numbness towards pain that has been too painful. So we just pushed it away with our defense mechanisms, as I've explained before. But now we are opening up our defense mechanisms and we'll become more aware of that. So we literally open up our body and become vulnerable. Then it's time literally to open up here what's there, to show what's there. And that's including the pain. So in a lot of spiritual teachings, dealing with emotions and with pain is often kind of disregarded, like it's just energy, it's just pain, it's something from the past. It's all love and light now, and it's all gone. And it just doesn't work like that for many of us, unless you're straight into full enlightenment, like the example of Eckhart Tolle. But most of us don't go that way, don't go that journey, that route. So we need some work. We need to do the work ourselves. And it really helps to find healers, good healers, to help you in this process. But it's not really necessary. You don't have to do that. But sometimes when you're really blocked energetically, it just helps if someone else holds space for you. So a healer holds space for you. And then you still most likely need to change or look at your perspective towards that pain and how it's still influencing your life today. So see if you can become more aware of what's actually happening at the deeper levels and what life is showing you. The answers are always in what life shows you. It shows you when you have to learn something. So if you can treat it like that, you don't have to dig deep just for the digging itself. You have to turn it around. Life will show you, and then it's time to dig. Especially now in this phase, if you've opened up so much. And then, of course, go back to the higher frequency. Align with your heartfelt desire. Align with your purpose. Think about your vision. Or at least open up that space. If you don't have a vision right now and you're still unclear in that direction, then just open up the heart. Get into presence, 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 presence. Do the practice. Because you still need that presence also to hold space for yourself and hold space for your pain. And this compassion you need, that's the same frequency. Okay, well, that's it for today. And I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.